Et bonjour à tous, hello everyone. On va devoir faire le stream en anglais parce qu'on a Odoamne bien entendu et Odoamne qui est du coup champion du LEC. On passe en anglais maintenant. Hello Odo, how are you doing?
Yeah, thanks for the intro. Not flattering at all, but I'm doing great. Fresh back to Berlin and from tomorrow practicing for Worlds.
Yep. And I mean, I know you can speak a bit of French, of course. We might have some showcase of your insane French skills during the podcast. To be honest, Romanian is really close to French, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier for us to understand because a lot of our words are borrowed from French. For example, like what was it like? Boulevard, and there's some other. I mean, we have a lot of words. Maybe like 10 or 20% of our vocabulary is French. So for me, it's really easy to understand you guys, but for you guys, it's really not easy.
I remember back in the first place here where it was always feeling like there was someone speaking French in the room, but it was actually you and Zux speaking Romanian. So I was getting close, and actually I was not understanding anything. So yeah, it was really disturbing.
Yeah, I mean what's it called? The way the language flows and phonetics and all of this stuff is really similar to French. But once you start trying to identify what we're saying, that's when you get super lost.
Yeah, I mean, I never understood the world, but at least I was pretending to get involved. It was the point.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're gonna talk about world. That's I think at the end, but first we're gonna talk about your career leading to this LEC season, because it was a long road, although. Because like how many years in LEC? 7, something like this.
Yeah, this was seventh year.
And were you still like hardcore believing, or were you like at the beginning of the beginning of the year last year, or did you feel like it was like such a huge mountain to climb after trying that many times?
I mean, I believed most of my years. Obviously, when I got in the Schalke roster where we had to do miracle run because we were 1-10, I was not a believer at that point. But when I joined Rogue last year, I was a big believer, and then I was a big believer even when we got reverse swept. Up until that point, I believed, but yeah, I mean, this year maybe not so much at the beginning because on paper the roster we had was in a sense a downgrade because we lost Inspired and Hans, which no matter who you get when you have best the two best players in their role for the whole year, no matter who you replace them with, it's still a downgrade because they were just the two best players. So I wasn't really like the biggest believer, but I think that also kind of helped us at the beginning because everyone was not really a believer, so everyone was on the grind and working really hard because we realized that we need to be a really good team, or like to work together as a unit and not rely so much on individual lane like we did in the Inspired era. And that kind of helped us because I felt like it made us play very solid or have like decent fundamentals, But coming into this playoffs, I wasn't really the biggest of believers because I don't know, just the whole vibe, internal issues, and all of this stuff. Everything leading up to Malmo was on my mind,
Yeah.
And it was hard, But the moment we got to Malmo, I knew that we are gonna win,
And because I remember talk like and we talked about it recently when we saw each other at Malmo, is that during your H2K time at Worlds, it was the same way. It kind of like the roster was a bit full. I mean, especially at H2K, it was a bit falling apart. But in the end, you guys somehow performed when it mattered during Worlds and went to semifinals. I mean, arguably you get a good, a nice quarterfinalist to fight against. But still, was it a bit the same vibe coming into Malmö, where in a sense it's when things looked a bit the darkest that everything goes together, and suddenly like in adversity that you guys found the way to pull it off?
Um, yes and no, because the story, or like the reasoning behind why the H2K run was good was different than why we pulled it together now with Rogue, because uh, in that H2K run we actually had a big fight literally the day before the second week of groups. So it was our turn to play tomorrow, and we just had biggest fight we had for the whole year, where everyone pretty much just said that we're so done with each other and we don't really want to play with each other anymore. And I think that roster had a lot of ego, individual egos. You know, I mean, Jankos wasn't the same player as he is now. He was more, you know, less experienced, more of a kid, like everyone was back then. And because now you look at Jankos and you don't think he has like an ego, you know. But like back then, we all had the egos. Like me, I had some sort of ego. Jankos had one. Vander had one. Forgiven had one. Only Rio didn't really have an ego because his English was too bad to kind of have an ego. But yeah, I mean, we had a big fight, and then everyone just said that we want to go home, and then we went the next day and we just stomped everyone because everyone was just like full ego playing, you know. And then, I mean, the quarterfinals draw, everyone is just miming that it was Albus Nox, but honestly, we could have gotten Cloud9 as well, and it would have been the same story. Only RNG would have been fist fight of the century on bot lane, because it was, I think, Uzi versus Forgiven in meta with 10 potions on bot, so everyone was just gonna fight to the death. But yeah, now with Rogue, it's not like, you know, we were upset at each other, you know, we were like, oh, I don't want to play with you, or stuff like this. It was more like everyone, I think, was just like frustrated and tired because we were unable to fix our issues, and I think everyone felt low-key disappointed with each other, you know. Not you know, like specific people more disappointed than others. It was just more so it was this kind of like this air in the room, you know. And I also think that it was because I don't know, just the whole year in the office in Berlin with no change of environment, there's a lot of, you know, like negative emotion that gathers, or like negative vibe in the room pretty much. And yeah, not a lot of fun memories from that office from like the year before, because we lost final the year before as well for like me, Larsen, and Trimby, and this year you lost final again, even worse than the year before. So I don't know. I think for us, just the change of environment helped a lot, because everyone felt like, you know, it's a second chance. It's kind of like fresh air for everyone. And yeah, I mean, once we changed the environment and we went to Malmo, I think everyone just felt really confident and really happy to play with each other again.
Because I remember, I think it was Larsen's interview at the beginning of the year, coming back to what you said about Hans and Inspired, where he said that in a sense, losing those star players, and obviously, like, I think it would be impossible. I don't think anyone with a sane mind would say that this roster looked better than the year before. It ended up having better results, but in January it's impossible to say that. Indeed, when you lose Inspired and Hansama, but Larsen was saying that it gave him a lot more room to develop and to be assertive in game. And to find a play style, and maybe that's what happened with the whole team. Did you feel the same than Larsen, where you didn't have Inspired, who was really a carry, a farming jungler, and Hansama that made a bit the game way more around him, especially with his playstyle, which is counter pick AD and support and try to dive level 3 or level 2 enemy bot lane?
Wait, I wanted to type to chat, but I didn't follow you until today, Duke, so I just followed you, so I need to wait 10 minutes to type to the chat. So at least you got my follow. But I think it's not so much about Inspired style or Hans style. It was more so that they had, at least Inspired had, in a way, a polarizing how to say, personality, where he was kind of the person that was like speaking the most and everything became around him because he was the loudest voice. And I felt like now with both him and Hans leaving, there was just a lot more room for everyone to kind of do, you know, what we want. Because with Inspired, it was all about, like, you know, following his calls, and his calls were good, you know, 90% of the time. That's why we were actually such a good team, even though now we're arguably better without him. It's just that there was not really a lot of free will, you know. There was not a lot of chill in the comms where everyone can just chill and help each other out and kind of do what he wants. Because now I feel like everyone has space to think and talk. And yeah, I mean, for us, I guess for me and Larson, we play better, we thrive more in this sort of environment where you know, we have the space to think, because it's not so much about playing, you know, around lanes or about jungler so much. Because I think even if Marang, for example, was a jungler like Inspired with the same style, if he would have this freedom in communication and stuff like this, it would maybe be, you know, kind of arguably same result. It was just the more so the way communication was happening, you know, there was just a lot of info that we needed to pay attention to, instead of, you know, everything just being more open, I'd say.
Okay. And I mean, in the end, I don't know if we can call it power of friendship or whatever, but in the end, it looks like, you know, when I look at G2 in Spring Split, because I never felt like G2 was such a dominating team actually in Europe. I think it was the first team that reached maturity, you know, in Europe, where everyone was playing well with each other and felt pretty happy. It looked like there was a really good environment within G2 already in spring. With Vitality and Fnatic really disappointing. But they clearly had obvious, I would say, flaws in their team, especially maybe in laning phase. Would you say that you guys reached that stage of maturity at Malmö, you know, and you finally started to play full potential, or do you think you still have a lot of room to improve?
I mean, I agree with you. I still don't think for us it's really the power of friendship, you know, because I think it's not like, because when I look at, for example, G2, their vibe is a bit, you know, more close to everyone. We're a bit more, you know, chill. I mean, we function really well as a team. We respect each other very much, and everyone is like, you know, equal and heard and all of this stuff. But for the future, I mean, I don't know, because the thing is, I feel like what we showed in Malmo was kind of the rogue that, you know, the rogue that was there for the whole year, or also there in playoffs, minus all the mistakes, you know? So I feel like these I mean, finals weekend in Malmo was the cleanest we ever played with this roster so far. I think that if I look at the game throughout 3 games, maybe, you know, I can find maybe 3 or 4, you know, small mistakes. Yeah, obviously the big throwing game too, where we almost lost the game. But outside of that, I don't think there was a lot of mistakes. While usually we're making mistakes so much more often throughout the split, you know. So for now, I think that was kind of peak rogue, you know, in the terms that that was us without any mistakes whatsoever. But now it's time to, you know, find new things, because I think that we can still grow. It's just this weekend in Malmo showed everyone, I think, in the team a side that we were not really sure that we have, you know, because I look at all my teammates a lot differently. I mean, obviously they gave me my first title, you know, so I'm going to look at them all a lot differently. But just from gameplay perspective and attitude perspective, I have never ever seen all 4 of the players the way they were in Malmo, you know. So for me, that just gave me a lot more trust, and now we need to find new things to get better at, because we can't, you know, just chill here and be happy that we're LEC champions. Because even if we play like we play in finals, you know, I think we're gonna be good, because we're not gonna have mistakes. But there for sure will be, you know, gaps in our gameplay, especially because it's 4 or 5 patches difference between finals and what's gonna be at Worlds. So yeah, I mean, I'm really happy to keep the level from Malmo, because it was just really clean games, really disciplined, no mistakes, good approach to everything. But we need more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, depends what you want to do, but for sure, I think you guys can like you guys basically have the individual skill, I would say laning phase, that is the necessary condition to challenge the Asian teams, because I think most of the Western teams are gonna get demolished starting laning phase, which then you can't even start to play the game, no matter how good your macro or team fighting is, like if you're one item behind. So I think that's definitely your strength. And then you have, like if you have a decent mid game, which you had indeed during the finals, you have a pretty decent shot. Your group is, I mean, you are first seeds, obviously you're supposed to have an easy group, but it's totally doable. And then quarterfinals, we'll see. But let's get to quarterfinals first. Talking about your own performance, because you had like 7 years in LEC. You had a lot of playoffs. You had some good playoffs, but you also had some bad playoffs. I think you
some bad playoffs with you, I think.
The summer, right? No, because I think in spring it was not bad. No,
in spring we made top 3, I think. No.
Yeah, I think summer was not great, but you had really good gauntlet. But others were running down the gauntlet.
But we sucked in playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, we sucked in summer overall.
but we got Scream leaked in playoffs.
Oh, that was a bit unlucky.
Yeah.
Niski, what was it? Niski
Veigar against Akali, and they were banning like Varus and Sion every game. Apparently because of Sion's son. But I mean, I know the people from Schalke back in the days told me that they had the info on our draft. But anyway, that's the past. But but these playoffs, like those players, you were really, really good. Like in Malmö, you were really smurfing. I think you had the edge. Aside, I think of one. I think was it against Fnatic or G2 that you had the first 3 levels with Aatrox or something like this.
It was game one against Fnatic, or I think I just missed like 15 minions in a row.
Yeah. But aside of this, I think you had a really great performance. And also I was watching the mic check of the. I mean, obviously it doesn't show the whole picture, right? But I was watching the mic check of the finals, and you seem to be to position way more as a leader that I've seen. I mean, also we played. I mean, I was your coach like a long time ago, so also you might have changed. But I think you position yourself way more as a leader than what I remembered you. What do you think? Was it a specific mindset also for you at Malmö? Like this leader mindset, did you have it in the past with Rogue? And how did you feel to be in this like perfect, peak level of play yourself?
I mean, I always kind of had this attitude or like this mindset, but I never felt like it was the right moment to speak up. Because I mean, sometimes you can read the room. Sometimes you can read what your teammates want, or like what you need to say, or what needs to be said. And I don't know. Even like before the series with Fnatic, I felt like everyone was really confident, but there was a bit also some uncertainty with our play because our week before was not the greatest. Scrims weren't really great either, up until we got to Malmo. So I don't know. I felt like, I mean, one of our coaches was gonna do a speech, and then I was like, oh shit, I mean, they're probably gonna say something from Google or from a movie, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that no one wants to hear, inspirational quote from Google. So I kind of stepped up and said something, and I don't know, it felt like one of those moments where if I would say something, people would, listen, and everyone would be like 100% with me, because I would just looked at everyone and I just saw the level of dedication, in their eyes. That's why, I mean, I was like, I never seen my teammates, act like this or like feel like this, so I felt like it's actually one of those times where I can say something and it's gonna be received well, because like, if you had a tilt game of scrim, if you have a tilt week of scrims and I go do a motivational quote, someone is just gonna say shut the fuck up, and yeah, then it's better to just not do anything motivational, but I don't know, for the series with Fnatic and G2, I felt like in a way I was also the most appropriate person to say something, because I mean, yeah, I'm the oldest of the group, but I was also the only one who had an arena behind them, or like who played in front of an arena and like a crowd this big, you know. For everyone else in my team, it was their first ever LAN, you know. So I felt like in a way everyone was ready to receive what I was gonna say, you know. And I was like, okay, uh, I can say something because I trust that they will, you know, take it well. And I personally thrived a lot in that environment when I see everyone around me being so focused and dedicated. And yeah, I mean, also helped that I was on my peak level, because I think for most of the season, or like for most of the second part of the season, I was playing really, really well, even when we were like losing. Um, so I don't know. I felt really confident. I felt like going into that finals week that I would have the edge over everyone, you know, and also helped me, you know, with my confidence to step up as some sort of a leader, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for sure, it looked like you were stepping up. We saw Trimby also getting super hyped. Is he like this, or was it special because of the crowd and the stakes of the game?
He's not really like this. I most of the time he's kind of reserved, but also Trimby is the sort of emotional player that thrives the most when he has fun, you know. And I was kind of surprised that he was so, you know, confident when it was his first time at the LAN, you know. And there were like times where, you know, everyone in the team took turns, you know, feeling the pressure and stuff. But for him, he actually took it completely the way he should have. Was just so happy to be there, you know. He was enjoying everything there. I feel like even if we were losing, his attitude for that weekend was gonna be exceptional, because he was having fun. It was his first LAN, and he loved the crowd. He loved everything, and he just loved the moment. So he also had got to play the champion he wants to play. You know, so that also helped in him having fun. Because I think if he had to play some Braum or some Nautilus when he can just play Soraka and Lux and all of this stuff, he would not have as much fun, you know? So for him, I think, I don't know, it was just one of those really weird, I mean, I can't explain it because I still don't know how this happened, but it was one of those weird um, scenarios where it's just everyone just takes everything perfectly, because it's always like a flip with these situations where all it takes is one person to take it the wrong way, or like feel the event or the LAN the wrong way. But I was genuinely surprised when everyone was just so, you know, on top of his game, because I don't know, everyone just played the best games of their careers, and it's just insane, you know. Like I've never ever had this.
Yeah, for sure. Like talking about your teammates comp, that I know very well too. Like
Yeah, you
he
benched him, no?
yeah, I benched him because too bad. No, but for real, I think he has always been insane mechanically, but he had ups and downs in terms of getting caught often, even with Rogue.
Yeah.
Like because he plays so much on the edge that sometimes he just crosses the limit, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, against Fnatic it happened, right? But less than upset, so all good. But against G2, he looked like he was in God mode. Did you guys see it from him in the past already? Were you expecting him to reach that level? Like, was he also just in God mode during those finals, or do you think that he has reached the level of maturity that that will help him to be like the best player the best ADC in Europe, which he can be if he always plays like this?
I've seen him reach this level a lot of times, but the problem was that he was kind of playing with fire, in the sense that he was like, you know, he was getting more and more confidence due to his good play, and he's really, really good at snowballing that confidence. But I think he didn't have this level of, you know, self-awareness to know when he's kind of pushing the limit, you know. Because also in game 2, when he got caught and all of us died, and then they almost ended the game, I kind of saw it happening, you know. Like 3 seconds ahead, I was like, oh fuck, he's gonna do it. And yeah, I mean, when he gets there, he's kind of like, you know, but that's also kind of the traits of someone who's really, really good. He is willing to play with fire a lot, because he has a lot of confidence in his skill, you know, and this is just something that's gonna get even better with maturity, you know, because even at the beginning when we had when he first joined, he kind of had the same issues where he was getting caught on mid waves and dying and stuff like this because he wasn't really, you know, realizing what his job is or what he needs to do. It was kind of a bit autopilot, you know. But that got a lot better with time, and I don't know. He deserves a lot of praise because it's important that he keeps this confidence up because this is kind of like the mark of a really good player, and you know, it's also important that he keeps his you know, what's it called, um his like ego or cockiness down, because he's also a player that thrives when he feels like he's better than the other person, or when he has this like level of cockiness that he feels he can just like shove around, you know. So it's important that he, you know, is self-aware of this, because I mean this can work really well in his advantage as well, you know. But then you can also see the comp that gets caught and dies. But honestly, this happened a lot less often than before. So for sure he's paying a lot more attention, and he improved, at least, you know, mindset wise, and also with his, you know, positioning a lot during the split, because it was like his main criticism, you know. Everyone was always like criticizing him for this and stuff, so it's always something that is on his mind, so it was not that hard for him to, you know, work on it.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think I remember back in the days. I remember after summer telling him that everything he needs to work on is his own mindset and maturity and approach of the game. And it looks like, I mean, I talked to him also after the finals, during the after party, and he told me that during the year and the break year, he worked a lot on himself to reach to get a lot of maturity, and it looked like he was stabilizing his how Ilisan called him, his montage style of play, to a level that he would die less and less, and at the moment it's pretty insane, which led him to be, I think, in the top 10 ranking of one of I think Dwin B, an Asian player recently put him in the top 10 players.
Yeah,
so
I saw that. Kind of crazy, but yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I think that the player, I don't know, I really don't remember the player. 369 apparently from the chat. 369 maybe just watch the final, and if you watch the final, honestly, Complex looks like a very elite player. So hopefully he keeps playing that way. Talking about your teammates too, what about Malarang? Because Malarang, so again, at the beginning of the year, it was really unproven quantity. Props to your staff for scouting him. He was a substitute for Damwon, but Korean players coming to Europe or NA, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. For team cohesion, it's pretty hard sometimes because they don't speak good English. And in the end, he had this kind of psycho play style where he would just camp lanes and stay AFK in one bush to have for 3 minutes to get a team fight flank. How is it to play with Malarang? How did he adapt in the Rogue squad during the year?
I mean, at first it was really weird for me, you know, because I was like, I was just inspired, you know. I had to play always around Inspire's timings, make use of him when he's around me, and all of this stuff. And then I start playing with Marang, and I just see him sitting in my lane for, like, you know, as much as he wants, and just sitting there, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on, you know?
No one has ever come to my lane. What's happening?
Yeah, literally, I was like, why is my jungler here? I haven't seen my jungler in, you know, years, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's nice because in a way he also really likes this style a lot, you know. That's why he even told us a lot that he prefers LEC or LPL to LCK, because he can be a psycho, and his coaches are not flaming him for being a psycho. So for him, he enjoyed this a lot, and I think for me and Larsen as well, it's something really nice, because we like to, you know, get lane leads and stuff like this. I mean, obviously it's nice to play for the jungler and all of this stuff, but with Marang it feels like more of a balanced approach, where, you know, we get to kind of abuse lanes a bit more because of him. He's not afraid to put himself behind, but we did have to work a lot on his style, in the sense that I think there were a couple of times this split in summer where we had discussions that he should actually just farm more, because I mean, the fact that his English wasn't really 100%. I mean 100% compared to ours, where we can have like a fluent discussion like I have it with you right now. He would understand most of it, but he also had this concepts that he brought from Korea, where he felt like something should be done in a certain way, and it was kind of hard for him to articulate that. And he didn't really have a lot of faith in lanes, because he felt like if a lane state would be kind of bad and I would say I'm like fine, he would still come and help, because he knew that in theory something bad should happen, but I was just like confident that I can dodge it or something, or like maneuver the situation. And it took a lot of time for him to kind of go away from these habits, because that's also kind of why he was sitting in brushes so long and stuff, because he would judge the situation differently than the lanes and stuff. But now I think after this whole time it's more in balance. We still have some disagreements maybe about playstyle, or like how he would like draft, or what he would think are like good combos and stuff. But I just think that he also got a lot more faith in us after all of this time, because I don't know, he was a bit flippy at points, but now I think especially in finals, I don't know, he like, I still can't explain his style. It's like so bizarre to me, because I just think of it and I just remember him that he's perfectly fine dropping like 5 or 6 camps, and he just says to me that it's fine if he's 2 levels behind. He's just gonna get catch up XP, and then he's gonna come back in the game. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not good. But then he has games where he's a complete psycho, and he just makes the enemy jungler stop farming as well, because he's just too much of a psycho. And I'm like, okay, I mean, what can I say to this guy? This guy is just a mad lad.
Yeah, I mean it works, especially when he plays Jarvan. Like he can pick Jarvan into full dash comp and somehow make it work. So so props to him. But I think he looks like he has a very good understanding of how a game is gonna be won. Right, there are a lot of junglers who are really good at solo queue pathing and good mechanics in skirmish, etc. But indeed, he looks like he's actually watching the lane state, which is not often I mean, he's watching and understanding how a lane is gonna behave, what's gonna be needed to cover the lane or to win the lane, which is actually pretty rare, as weird as it seems in LEC.
It's really weird, because if you look at him in solo queue, this guy's rank 1 in solo queue, complete psycho jungler, and in solo queue he plays completely different than he plays in scrims or in a team environment. In solo queue, he's complete psycho, and then he goes in scrims and he drops all the jungle camps, and he just looks for ganks randomly left and right and does weird stuff. And I'm like, this guy is capable of switching his style or playing both of these styles so well that is just an enigma for me.
So is it because he trusts his solo queue teammates more or less than his rogue teammates? That's the thing.
Oh, honestly, I think he trusts his solo queue teammates more.
Yeah, it looks like. Well, yes, have to step up on that department. To finish with your teammates, Larsen, mid lane, who has like for, I would say, last 2 years he was hyped, but in the end less hyped that at the time was. I mean, that Caps, that Humanoid, or even at some point I would say Nemesis at the beginning. But he was steadily improving, known to be really good farmer in lane, but not necessarily aggressive. But last year I think he was struggling to have much impact in mid game. When I was reviewing your games, it looked like he was often behind in macro movements, and this year he got a lot better. And I mean, he could arguably be the best mid laner in the playoffs, and I think in the finals, I think it was pretty even between him and Caps. How was it working with Larsen this year? How had changed from, if anything changed, from last year?
I mean, he got more experience, because even though he was good last year, he was kind of lacking experience, especially in mid game, as you said, where he didn't really particularly know everywhere he needs to go, like all the clean macro movements and all of this stuff. And now this year he got a lot better. I mean, there's still room for improvement. He still has the same style, where he's always wants to catch all the farm and then move and stuff like this. But for me, it was really, really weird, because in the finals, I've seen him drop more waves in like 3 games than he did the whole year, just because I felt like, I don't know, in the finals, he realized in a way a different win condition than what he's used to. And it's kind of impressive that he stepped out of his comfort zone like that. And I know, I feel like also the fact that he gets to call the shots more than inspired helps him a lot, because now it's on me to sync up with him, and a lot of time, I mean, even this year, I feel like I wasn't really doing the best. I felt like I was kind of the one who was falling behind on the macro play compared to him, because I wasn't really on the same page with him. But what helped him a lot this year is that he had a bigger voice as well, and he was, giga chatting his macro concept, and it was easier for me to follow as well. And I just think that I don't know. For me, there's a lot of questions to see about like everyone, how scrims will be after this, after this finals, because I don't know if it was just like it can be either one of those two things where we won and something awakened in everyone, a different mindset or a different mentality, about everything, or it was just everyone was just really insane in that moment, so it's really depends on what everyone kind of brings back to the table when we come back to scrims. But I do think that he improved more. I think in the finals he was just as good, if not better than Caps, because I felt like his impact was really, really big, and he kind of played champions that weren't really like something that he played for the whole year. Like LeBlanc, he just whipped it out of nowhere because he just decided it was going to be good in the moment. Makali was perma-banned, but he was also, willing to just play that instead of just playing Azir, Orianna, and stuff like that. And that's why we kind of played Orianna, Victor, all of this boring stuff versus Fnatic, because the bans were there, so you kind of get forced into that stuff. But against Caps, he kind of had more room to play stuff that he felt like was gonna be good, But like definitely a huge improvement for Larsen this year compared to last year. Last year maybe he was like lackluster, but this year there's nothing you can say to him. At least in summer, even though we lost to like G2 3-0 in that semifinals or whatever it was, winner bracket thing. I think he was arguably the best player on our team, because we were all kind of venting except him. He was having good games all 3 games. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he's gonna keep stepping up. I mean, he has been constantly improving for 1 year or like 1 year and a half now, and I don't know why he would stop.
And talking about your opponents during the playoffs, like I don't know if we can say that it's a good year or bad year for Fnatic. Looks more like a bad year, but depending on what they do at Worlds too. They still awakened a bit during playoffs, but fell short against you guys. Were you expecting decent opposition from Fnatic? What did you think of this version of Fnatic? For a team that to me looked on paper like the best team at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, when they made the team, let's go back to spring, when spring rosters got announced, it was Vitality and Fnatic as, the 2 big boys that are gonna pretty much smurf on everyone, especially, Fnatic, because, Wonder was, I think Wonder was G2, if I'm not mistaken, before. Wonder had, like, a good year, a decent year, pretty good year. You couldn't really, say much negatives about him. Humanoid came off of winning first time someone else outside of G2 Fnatic wins LEC. Well, Alliance doesn't really count, but yeah. And yeah, he was hyped and arguably the best mid laner in EU. Upset sang power bot, and then Razork also came from like a really good year with Misfits. So I don't know, everyone on paper would have said that yeah, maybe there's a bit of ego there, but not too much. It's kind of those sort of egos that actually kind of complement each other, and it can be okay. But I don't know, they just started falling short. And I don't know, when you have big personality, it's always a flip to make them, gel together. And I feel like maybe that's what happened against or not against with Fnatic this year. They just never ever found their groove. And even in playoffs, I think they started playing a lot better. But against us, or at least the way I saw it from my perspective, was that they were just getting a lot of power picks or a lot of stuff that they're really really comfortable with, which for me was like, um, you know, Kalista plus X for upset, or Lucian Nami. It
Or
was pretty
Zeri.
much just, or even Zeri, but Zeri doesn't have as much power as,
Mm.
Lucian Nami or Kalista. Zeri is more like scaling. She's gonna be annoying in team fights later on, so it's whatever. But it doesn't take over the game nearly as early as a Kalista or a Lucian Nami does. So for us, it was pretty much just, yeah, their win condition is having upset with a lot of leverage in the game with these combos and the winning jungler matchup, because he was getting, I think there was like jungle ban and he was getting Trundle or Poppy or winning jungle or Sejuani or something, always winning jungler matchup, and they'll just play complete cycles and also just map split bot every game. And for us, it was like, okay, they were realistically throughout the year bad when they didn't have this stuff, and now they just are getting these things in playoffs for like 10 games in a row. So of course they're gonna stomp on everyone, but without those champs, they were a lot worse. So for us, it was kind of clear that we need to take them off of those, and I think they never got these champs in our playoffs. They only got Zeri, I think, uh, one time, but it was, winning or like good matchup for us on bot, and we also had always the better jungler matchup. So it was like stylistically, it was what we needed and what was bad for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. I think bot lane can like came back during the playoff, but you guys can diffused it pretty well too, and it was pretty solid. Actually, you guys then swept G2. I mean, I don't know. I think no one expected it to be such a stomp, even yourself. But it was.
Oh, to be honest, they did ask me in the press conference after the Fnatic game was gonna be the score tomorrow against G2, and I did say 3-0.
Yeah, because you were cocky, cocky or pessimistic, depending on.
No. It was just like that level. It was that level of omega cockiness that everyone just thought I was joking, But in reality, I was serious. But no one knows if I was serious or just trolling. So it's fine. I'm just a mastermind.
And what like do you think G2 reach their ceiling? Do you think they can be like? Do you have hopes at World for G2 or even Fnatic, or are you guys our only hope?
I don't know. Like,
And Mother
I
also.
I don't wanna go super cocky and say like, oh, Rogue is the best team now, we're better than G2 and all of this stuff, because realistically we were worse than G2 for like 90% of this year so far,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got a good series and stuff, but it's definitely, it was a convincing win. Yeah, it was a stomp, for like that patch or whatever. We are for sure better because we stomped them in the final when it mattered. But they have been good for pretty much the whole year, Maybe Caps and Yankos had like a bad day or whatever, but I don't know. G2's advantage was also flexibility in the sense that they always had a lot of champs on bot, or like weird champs overall, where they could like just play a lot. But I also felt like their lanes were not really super strong. I felt like their bot lane wasn't really didn't have a lot of lane dominance or like the potential to dominate lanes super hard. I mean, BB is good. BB can have good laning phases and clap people. In the final, I guess he didn't really play his greatest series.
Did he get top diff, or that's what you are implying?
I mean,
just kidding.
I mean, in a way, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe one-on-one we were like both pretty good, but I feel like there were like some like sequences in all of the games where I don't know, he made some mistakes with his like lane, and that's why he lost, or like that's why he started losing his edge in CS and all of this stuff. But I don't know. Like, I feel like, I don't know. Now that I think about it, of the whole year, BB hasn't really been super dominant in lane either. He has a kind of a similar playstyle to me, where we're both just kind of chilling, and then we're just doing our thing, and then yeah, whatever. I think arguably he maybe works better with Yankos than I work with Marang, so I feel like he always has that going for him. I think Yankos is also a really good player that always plays around, slow pushes and wave states very, very well. So that also helps him a lot, or maybe masks some of his weaknesses. But again, I don't think he's weak at all. I think he's alongside with me top 2, and on a good day on a good day he's better than me, and on a good day I'm better than him. But I don't know. It's like, for me, that roster is just do or die by Jankos and Caps. If they have good day, they just dictate the whole flow of the map, and everyone just needs to do their job. Like, top needs to be stable, bot needs to be stable as well. And it's just on them too, But that's also kind of a weakness, because I mean, for us, it's like, yeah, Marang's a psycho, but realistically, everyone in lane is doing very, very well, But we all, I mean, that's what we kind of also did for finals, which is a bit something that, or like weird, that we don't really do often, is just we just drafted, full early game, full play for lanes, and we kind of went away from, this scaling, whatever. Bot lane was always having a fist fight matchup or good matchup, and mid and top were also just like strong early game, just be strong for herald fights and all of this stuff. So I don't know, it's like a new patch. There's a lot of patches that's going to be the difference between playoffs and worlds, 4 or 5 patches. And, meta might just fully shift, and might shift away from like what made us good in playoffs or like in finals now, and more towards what makes them good. But just because I don't want, just because they had like a bad finals, to take away from their whole rest of the year, because you cannot say that they haven't been, super consistent top 1, top 2 in the league for the whole year. And that might be an advantage, if meta changes and they adapt fast, which they kind of always did. It should be an advantage for them again.
I mean, meta is changing towards your direction, as Mephisto says it. There is a Maokai getting highly buffed. That's a direct buff to you.
Yeah.
Realistic, like, how would you rank yourself among, like, compared to Asian top laners? I don't know if you watched a lot of LPL, of LCK. If you watch one of the region more than the other, and how would you rank yourself among those?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like everyone is just super hyped about LPL top laners, because they're just psychos and they play like Fiora and all of this stuff. And if meta comes to us that EU top laners have to play Fiora and all of this stuff, then yeah, fine. I will have to play it, and we will have to play it. But I mean, I watch them. I watch LPL and I watch LCK tops, and I kind of don't really judge them based on how they play certain matchups and stuff like this. I mostly look at I watch a lot of their VODs to learn, or to kind of like try to get what they're thinking and stuff. And based on their decision making, I think the ones that are like clear standouts to me that are really good is probably Zeus. And from LPL, I don't even know if someone's like super impressive from LPL, because like everyone's like 369, Wayward, what's his name, Breed as well. But for me, it's like, I don't care. It's like fine. It's just like the only one I feel like that. I mean, this is gonna come and bite me in the ass at some point probably, and if I get clapped, then that's just life, But I still stand by my thoughts, and I feel like the only one that is a cut above others and I will probably sweat against is Zeus. But I think everyone else is just kind of like whatever, I don't see 369 or Wayward or Breed or like whoever else is there. Even like Doran won LCK with the Genji, but I still think from LCK Zeus is the best one. From LPL, I'm not sure which one is the best one, honestly.
I would say 369 in LPL, but I mean, I think Zeus is really good on LCK for sure.
It's just like his levels of his fundamentals, and his like even like it's like as stupid as the way he's clicking his mouse and stuff like this is just the best, So like I just look at them and their fundamentals and how they like judge difficult situations and stuff, That's like what I think makes someone good, Like yeah, he has if someone has a mechanical outplay, in a certain moment, that's in a sense maybe replicable, but that also relies on someone else misplaying, But for me, it's like I look at their decision making, and this guy is just clean.
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to managing waves, gank timings, trade patterns, overall game IQ. That's kind of like what stands out to me, and I don't think the others have his level.
Okay, fair enough. We'll see. We'll see at Worlds how you fight those Chinese top. Wait, you are in top esports group, right?
Yeah, I have top esports, and I will have Vietnam and seed 1, which is Gigabyte Marines, I think. Is it?
Yeah,
Are they still called like that?
Yeah.
And then we will have either EG or DRX.
Okay. So top esports Wayward, who is pretty hyped too. I mean, I've absolutely no idea about Gigabyte Marines. I just remember them at Worlds cheesing with the Nocturne, etc., and lane swaps back in the days. But I wish you the best on that one. Before indeed shifting to Worlds talk, I had a question about top lane. Because I think there is a lot of really good upcoming top laners in LFL actually, and I think I would see.
Can you name some?
I mean, Cabo, Ziganda. I mean, Cabo is not upcoming, but I think he's gonna come back.
Definitely not upcoming.
But Ziganda, Ragnar, and Adam. And I think Adam, he was not too good last year in Fnatic. I think he was too early for him, but I think he got. I think his split in LFL helped him a lot, and I think at the moment he's very solid. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that most of them will get in LEC. I mean, at least some of them next year. Do you have any opinion on them, on any of the LFL top laners? Have you played them in scrims? Any opinion of those top laners?
I mean, it's hard to say because we need to be real. Even though LFL is probably the strongest ERL after LEC, the overall level is still lower. It's like, when you go to LEC and like, for example, let's just put it like this. I go in LEC and I play against BB, and it's like top ranked one top laner in EU versus ranked 2 top laner in EU, so it's like, it's going to be hard. But the thing is, when you go to LFL or something like that, even if some guy is really talented, it's like, it gets like dispersed a lot easier or along the ERLs. Like, even if you have, you're going to have like ranked 15th top laner in EU versus ranked 20 something, and it's like, there's a big discrepancy in skill level, and everyone just looks so much more impressive in an ERL. Because honestly, in ERLs and stuff, it's mostly just punish mistakes. People will make mistakes. They're gonna make it very obvious for you to make that they made a mistake, so it's easy to punish. But when you get to LEC, it's a whole different game because you need to start learning how to force those mistakes, how to force people to make mistakes and stuff like this. And it's not easy because it's not something that you can really train. So I don't know, like, they're smurfing, like all of these guys. I mean, Ragnar is good in LFL. Cabos has been really good in LFL for a lot of time. Adam, you can say, last year he had a bad year in LEC or whatever. But you also need to remember that he came from LFL and he was just as hyped as he was right now, playing just as good. And now,
the thing is, last year I think he was very high because he was in K Corp, but I don't think he was playing as good. And I remember saying it back in the days. And now I think I really think that this year he's playing way better. I mean, that's my opinion, but I think he's more LEC ready than last year.
Probably. I mean, mentality-wise, it's important that people are like LEC ready, but skill-wise, it's always hard to judge because it's like, if you take a top laner from LEC and you put him in LFL, he's probably gonna clap people left and right as well. So it's like, it's hard to make an opinion because that's the thing. You will take someone like, let's say Adam, hypothetically, is the best top laner in LFL. So the thing I said before, that he plays against ranked 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 top laner in EU. All of a sudden, you put him in LEC and he's playing against the top 10 top laners in LEC or like in Europe, and it's gonna be a lot harder to shine because he's not playing against people who are just not as good or talented as the people in LEC. So that's the hard, because I think the problem with top lane is that is the lane that you need to experience the most out of all the lanes, because top lane is the lane that gets screwed over by the lane that gets screwed over the most by everything random that is happening in the game. Oh, your support solo kills someone bot. Oh, enemy support is randomly just gonna run to your lane and he's gonna look to fuck you up. Something's going wrong on the other side of the map. Oh, everyone go to top lane and let's fuck the top laner up. So it's hard because it's like, the reason we see these talented top laners fail is not because they're unskilled. It's more of experience problem that they don't identify these situations before they happen. Because a lot of times, at least for me, all of these situations that happen on top that I know that is gonna screw me up, I see it like a minute ahead of time or 2 minutes ahead of time, and then I have some time to prep or say what I need or fix my wave or stuff like this. But for the guys who are new to LEC, because these plays are like, not really obvious and they just happen in a higher level of plays than lower, they don't have 2 minutes, for example. They have like maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and that's just not enough, and then you get caught and you die. So I don't know. I never felt it's like a talent problem. It's more of a discipline / game knowledge problem, because I don't know, on mid lane, if you're like a new mid lane or something, you just go and you push and you look to do something on the other side or do something with your jungler, I feel like it's easier to train a rookie mid or a rookie AD than it is to train a top laner, because that's why we see a lot of top laners flop in LEC, and there's not a lot of like super stable ones, especially from the rookies that come in. I mean, Irrelevant was pretty good, this split in top, and that was kind of impressive, because most of the time top laners that come into the league are kind of flopping, So I don't know. Overall, LFL tops are pretty good. It's just like it's hard to put them in perspective when I compare them to LEC tops or like against like in the LEC environment and level of gameplay. But overall, individual skill wise, they're like fine.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a bit more optimistic. I mean, depending for you, I guess it's not optimistic, but
I mean, I don't know. Okay, let's discuss this, because for me, it's like I just look at the last 4 or 5 years, and there has been, I don't remember rookies who came in, or top lane rookies that came in and played good for more than 1 year, and they're considered top 4 in the role.
I agree, but I've never been hyped with as far as I remember. I haven't been really hyped by much rookie top laner, in the past 4 years. I've been hyped with rookie mid laners, rookie junglers from time to time, rookie ADs when Kazi and Com joined,
Yeah.
I mean, I was hyped with Ziganda, but I think he was really too soon for him when we played together. But this year, I think I'm really hyped by upcoming top laners and junglers from EIL. I think.
I mean, I'm hyped as well. I mean, I would love for a top laner or a rookie top to come into LEC and just beat the shit out of me, Because then it's like he's doing something new that I need to learn. Because right now it's hard, because it feels like there's no, in a way, there's nothing new happening, no innovation. That's why I said that, like, I don't remember tops that come into the league and they're better for like more than a year and they're like consistently top 3 or top 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, because like they might have like a good patch or a good season or something, and then when meta shifts, they're just like bad,
I mean, I think that's fair. I think it might be different next year, depending on also the team comp around them. To finish, I want to have a talk about Worlds. So you are going directly to main event.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a buff? Like, would you have preferred to go through play-ins or not? Because some people say that it's actually a buff where you can get in the rhythm, in the Worlds rhythm. You start with lower tier teams, while when you arrive in main event, you instantly start playing against the big boys. What do you think about play-ins in general? Do you think you would have preferred playing through play-ins?
Usually I would have said yes, but there's like 2 things that kind of change it. I think being first seed is definitely OP. I think there's really high chance that you get a good group. For example, Group C and Group D are fine groups. They're like okay groups. They're easier than A and B, that's for sure. But if you're like second, I think if you're second seed, then I think maybe going through play-ins would be better, because you get more stage time, you get to experience the meta and stuff like this. But now the thing is, I feel like play-ins is stacked. It's like really stacked, because it's like 5 really good teams with what's it called? Mad Fnatic, EG, DRX, and RNG, if I'm not mistaken. So there's like it's really stacked because you have 5 teams and 4 slots, but that's also because EU got a free seat that's at a free spot, you know. Because maybe if there was like not one team that will automatically get knocked out of the like the good teams, then it would be fine to go to play-ins. But I think now, if I was play-ins, I would sweat a bit, you know, because it's not free. Because imagine you're gonna have Mad versus Fnatic for the last spot in Worlds groups, and then it's a shit show. So it's stressful. It's a lot more stressful. But they might just get like a second win, you know, after they finish, after they're done with play-ins and they get into like main group stage. They're gonna be, you know, in shape, I guess. Because I know there's also like the risk. I mean, for us, it's like it's weird, or at least it sucks for us this year because we're gonna get in the US quite late. We're gonna have like 4 days of scrims and then group starts for us. And if you go to play-ins, then you get to scrim a lot of different teams. While for us, I think it's just gonna be like, well, Mad and Fnatic are leaving, EU Masters ends, and it's just us and G2 hard chilling, the only 2 active teams still left in the whole of Europe, and we're probably just gonna fist fight each other for like six days straight, you know. And then we're gonna fly to NA, get 3 days of scrims, and then have to play groups. So that's the sucky part. Because if you had, you know, main stage, and we got to like go boot camp in Korea or wherever, and just get like scrims with everyone, then I'll be perfectly happy with being first seed, you know. But now it's a bit unlucky.
Actually, it might lead to some pretty fun situation because of people coming in the main stage with different meta, you know, a different meta read, because you don't have the time to mix. And sometimes it's actually beneficial to Europe. I would say Korea and China tend to be a bit lacking behind at Worlds and then catch up during the event. So that could be a good thing for you guys if you have the right ideas, which is, I mean, can be the case depending on the screens, etc. One other question about Worlds. You know, you already went to Worlds. I remember my experience at Worlds when I arrived at Worlds being a super underdog. Maybe that was the case with H2K. What's your mindset approaching Worlds? Like, do you see yourselves with Rogue as still an underdog because it was like such a perfect day at the finals and there are so many Asian teams that are hyped up? Do you see yourself as a team that has to perform as a first seed? What's your mindset?
I mean, for sure, we have to perform as first seed, you know, because if we go there as first seed and we just suck, then obviously everyone's going to feel upset, you know, that like your first seed just sucked. So it's like normal. So there's like some pressure there. But my approach is like, I also want to be, or like keep being aware that up until finals week, we weren't the best, you know, we kind of sucked at points, you know. I mean, now that I look at the G2 series, the one we got 3-0'd by G2 in upper bracket final, there was like some int, you know, like our level wasn't really like super bad. It's just like we were just inting, so it was kind of bad. I mean, that makes no sense, but for me, in my head, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes sense if you know how to speak the League of Legends pro player language. You know about the 50 shades of inting. There is like inting, and then there is inting. There is running it. There is running down. Like you have to understand. It's like years of experience, and I get it. But okay, so in a sense, you have to perform, and you talked already about the top laners. About the rest of the Asian teams, do you think? How do you see them? Like, do you think they are a bit overhyped? Maybe also specifically Chinese or Korean teams. Do you think how, for example, what do you think about top esports that are in your group?
I mean, I think Asian top players or like LPL tops are more used to fist fighting, you know, and I guess in a way, just because they fist fight a lot, everyone sees them as better because they're just like have more skill expression, I guess, because they're just like matchups that are fist fighting, you know, a lot more often. While EU tops or like, I guess even NA tops or maybe LCK tops, they're just taking the more, you know, on paper better matchup and just play that, you know. I guess we're not really flipping 50-50 matchups, or we just believe it's not so good, but I don't think that makes us, you know, necessarily worse. But for top esports, it's like, I don't know, there's always like a Chinese team that flops at Worlds. Last year it was FPX, and I feel like this year the highest chance of like an LPL team flopping would be maybe Top Esports. I mean, I haven't looked a lot at their games. I was mostly looking at RNG, LNG, and stuff like this. So Top Esports is kind of like, I need to do my research. I need to start doing my research about it and kind of see what's going on. But I don't know. For me, it's mostly like I don't really look at other teams. I just want to. I feel like the most important thing for us by a significant margin is to not have a shit mindset, not have the same mindset that we had the whole split, and just like people to be hungry that we won LEC, because I know that everyone in our team felt what I felt about the team in LEC final, and I'm pretty sure that people want to keep having that feeling, you know. So I'm quite confident that everyone's gonna try, you know, everyone's like gonna spam, and everyone's gonna be kind of humble about it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've kind of been like our worst enemy, but I think we can make it out of groups. Or we should make it out of groups easily, even if we get like DRX or EG. It should be with this group. We should get out. We should make top two. I feel like it would be a bit sus if we don't make it out of groups and make it further. Because I don't know. For me, it's like I would want to with this team to make as much as I went in 2016 and just make my, you know, personal best, I guess, and just make some eyes again.
I wish you guys do it, and I think it's definitely doable. Like to go top two, even top one. I think it's like, especially on the best of one. I think Top Esport have a high variance. Like they can be like maybe the best team in the world one day, and the day after be actually pretty bad even for LPL standards. So anything is doable, and I think if you guys play like the finals, you definitely have a good shot even against a decent Top Esports. And then everything is possible depending on the world's meta too. So good luck at Worlds. I had one last question that I think is pretty hyped among the French community. That is about Hansama, because you played with him. What do you think? Can we expect from Hans? You played with him 1 year. What can we expect from Hans if he comes back to Europe? In your opinion,
it's gonna be a bit weird because he was always what's it called? He was always kind of like an like when he believed in himself, he was always a really good player, you know. When he had confidence, he was really good. That's when he was thriving the most, when he had confidence. And I feel like he had a pretty bad year with Team Liquid. But I also feel like he's the sort of player that whenever stuff like this happens, it humbles him a lot, and he gets back into this mindset where he will improve really fast again. Because I feel like that's kind of like what he had in Rogue. He was kind of in this humble mindset that he felt like he was not good enough and he needs to improve and all of this stuff. And he did get better, a lot better. But I don't know, I was kind of sad to see that the issues that he was having, you know, in Rogue kind of followed him in TL. I know sometimes he is doing weird stuff in mid game, or like he gets caught out of position in weird spots. And I don't know, confidence issue is always like something that is like really difficult to deal with, because no one can really fix it for you except yourself, you know. But I mean, I would be really happy if Hans comes back, because I really liked him. He was actually one of my favorite ADs that I played with so far, up until Com, because now I guess I love everyone because we won. But Hans was like always one of my favorite guys from the Rogue squad, because he was very chill, he was smart about the game, and he was playing very good as well. So I mean, I hope that, you know, he comes back to EU, because I think he's just happier here, and it's like an environment that is a lot better for him. And yeah, I mean, I'd be super happy if he starts playing good again.
Nice. Well, that's can make some fans in the chat pretty optimistic and hopeful. Let's see where he lands. Thanks a lot, Odo. I don't know if you have I don't know anything to say to French fans, any fans.
French boys?
Yeah.
Alors, Merci beaucoup pour tout votre temps et j'espère que que tout vous avez une bonne soirée.
Perfect. Parfait, Odo. Perfect French, actually. It's pretty good. Pretty decent French. Thanks a lot, bro, for coming. Wish you the best.
Vous tous aimez, chat.
Wish you the best at Worlds. Chat will be cheering for you too, for sure. And yeah, I hope really you guys crush it, and especially you. Please do it badly to the Asian top laners.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you to the chat. Thank you, everyone, and see you tomorrow for